Okay, so created this channel. I don't actually know when I created this channel. A while ago, and I was going to do all these updates and all these things. And let's face it, I think I did one video, and life kind of went back to chaos. But it didn't kind of go back to chaos, it did. months of self-destructing and hospitals and just no hope, no future. And try not to get emotional. And yeah, just generally not seeing the point. It didn't matter, and it doesn't in those times, how many times somebody can tell you, oh, it gets better. It's not always like this. It's not worth it. This isn't the only option. But let's face it, right there and then, that's what it feels like. And yet now, the end of 2020, everybody's year from hell. Let's face it. I'm in a place where I'm saying to you, it does get better. Not straight away. And not even necessarily when you think it will, or it has. Because you sit there and you can think you're on top of the world, and sometimes it does come crashing down. But then, out of nowhere, and completely unexpectedly, one thing clicks into place, and everything changes. I'm in a better place now than I think I've ever been. And honestly, it's because something clicked. There is no, and I know how annoying it is to hear this, there is no time frame. There is no, it's going to happen on this day. It's going to happen 6 weeks, 6 days and 7 hours from the event. None of that is how it works, because we're all different people, we're all different individuals, and we can relate to other people. We can pass on our own experiences, similar experiences, but we're not the same person. So it might work to a degree for somebody else, just like for you, but it won't work for definite 100%, because you're a different person. 5 months ago, there was no hope for me. That's where I saw it. That's the way I saw it. The 16th of July, 15th, 16th, 17th. I didn't see a point. I was adamant that there's no point, there's no future. If you said to me, even in July, so what, 5 months ago, it can't be right. Yeah, 5 months ago. Where do you see yourself in a week's time, 6 weeks' time, a month's less than 6 weeks, but yeah. My answer would honestly be either no comment or dead. And that was pretty much my goal. I was going from one attempt to another. But on the 20th, I found something out and changed my world. And since then, literally in the moment, it was scary. It made self-destruct more destructive. Within hours, and easily within 24 hours, pardon me, I was planning a future. I am planning a future. A positive one. It does change. I was talking to a professional this evening, and bless him, the amount of times he's had to call welfare checks, he himself, so many times because of where I've been at. And I was relaying to him a conversation, kind of your stereotypical professional patient conversation, where he asked me to describe what I could see around me. I thought it was a trick, because I was in a destructive frame of mind, and I thought he was trying to trick me into giving my location so that he could send a welfare check. So I was very vague. But he said back then, along the terms of being in tunnel vision, and that one day I'll be able to see more than just the lamppost and the street and the gravestones behind me. One day I'll be able to see the world, big world, as it is. Trees down the road. And he said that's the same as what happens with our thoughts. He said, in that moment, I don't want to use the term right now, even though that's what it was at the time. in that moment, what I can see is that there's no future, there's no point, there's no purpose, and that the world would be better without me, and I'm very focused on that. And those thoughts are making it impossible to see beyond that small tunnel. But the reality is that there's so much more beyond those thoughts that I wasn't able to see. And I told him he was chatting shit. I called bullshit. But tonight I said the same thing back to him. Not as advice, but just in terms of actually he was right. We can become very focused on the moment, on the thought, on the feeling, and with EUPD, that feeling can be so overwhelming. Like, honestly, you should do anything to make the feeling go away, to make the feeling stop. And it's not that simple. But feelings are hard. They're hard to understand, they're hard to manage, they're hard to explain, they're hard to relay, they're hard to process. It's not easy, and it takes time, but it's okay to have feelings. It's not the feelings, sorry, I'm a fidget and I can see myself, which makes me fidget more. But it's not the feelings, it's not the emotions that become the issue. It's how we manage them. And certainly for myself, and for those I know, for the majority of those I know with EUPD, BPD, whatever you want to call it, because it varies from place to place, we're not so good at managing it, and we're not so equipped to manage it. But actually, it is okay to feel them. When you think about it, what we're doing by trying to get rid of them is we're feeling scared. We're scared of those feelings. Scared, the feeling itself, clues in the name, scared, is a feeling. So we're allowing ourselves to be scared, but we're not. That fear is saying we can't feel sad. We can't feel happy sometimes. If I've been in situations where I've had a good day, so it's definitely got to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong. Happy, sad, worried. Like, that fear of the feelings causes us the problems. So we have to tell ourselves it's okay to feel happy, sad, scared, worried, anxious. But we also have to take the appropriate steps to manage whatever it is that's contributing to that feeling. It's not the feeling, it's not the emotion that is bad. Feelings and emotions are good. All of them have a purpose. All of them have a role to play. Even though they don't all feel nice, they are all good. And they're all good for us. We need to stop running from the feelings and start accepting them and working with them. Like, I don't know why I keep doing the eye look. Once we start accepting the emotions and the feelings, we're able to move on. Once we start allowing ourselves to do the appropriate responses to emotions, one of my biggest was crying. The fights I've had over the years about crying. It's okay to cry. I've cried so much in the last 5 months that you wouldn't think that prior to that I didn't allow myself to. And I'm still here. I'm still safe. Like, crying didn't put me in any danger. It's daunting at first, it's scary at first, but it's safe. What's not safe is trying everything not to cry, which then ends in hurting ourselves in order to block that emotional response, which is honestly is safe. Crying is the safe option. Whatever crosses your mind to block yourself from crying, that's not safe. And the more you block up your emotions, the harder it is to deal with them in the long run. Honestly, I've worked so hard in the last 5 months. Like I say, focus shifted. For me, I found out I was pregnant. I'm pregnant. And I have a whole new purpose. I have a purpose. And the further along I've got, the more determined I've got, the more I've loved my little boy. And everything's about keeping him safe, really. And by default, keeping myself safe. But for you, it could be anything. One day it just clicks. And it literally is one day, honestly. On one day, I was hurting myself. The following day, the mental health team came down to speak to me about it, and I told them I didn't need them. Not because I didn't need them, I was pushing them away, but because I'd got a purpose. I'd got a focus. I'd planned it all out. I knew exactly what I needed to do. For the first time ever. It's different for everybody. The timing's different. The prompt is different. How it happens is different. But it does happen. You just have to keep fighting and not give up long enough to find out what yours is. And honestly, every one of those battles, it's a story for your future. It's a education, it's a tool, it's a resource, because you can look back on it and learn from it, and actually it teaches you somewhat what it really is like to be in those situations, and so you can encourage others from a genuine place where you know what you're talking about, you know what it's like, you know how scary it is to be there. You're not just going to sit there and tell them to snap out of it or move on, or why is it still bothering you? Because you genuinely know it's not that easy. So you can remain patient with people. You don't run away because you know what it's like to be run from. You don't give up on people because you know how that feels. But sometimes you do have to say no. Sometimes you do have to walk away. That's important too. As much as caring for others is good, you have to look out for yourself as well and keep yourself safe. You can do it. One of my biggest things has always been medication. If I have medication in my flat, excess, then as soon as I get sad, angry, scared, anxious, then I'm likely to take as much of it as I can. Was likely. So I was put on weekly dispensation, so I was only allowed a week's worth of medication. Pretty much as soon as I was put on medication, because it was considered not safe to have more, and there's been times where I wasn't allowed more than 3 days worth. At one point I was only allowed a day. And in terms of, like, if I bought painkillers, I would have to, off my own back, because I didn't trust myself. I'd take what I need and then give them to friends so that I didn't have them because I didn't feel safe. But from now on, I'm on 2 weeks medication at a time. I've got multiple boxes of painkillers because it's safe. It does get better. You can beat it. You can move on. I know you're probably gonna tell me I'm chatting shit, but trust me, one day you'll look back and you'll see it too. And honestly, seeing the progress, seeing the change that even in a short space you can do, you'll be so proud of yourself. You'll be amazed at what you have and can achieve. because it really can happen. No matter how unlikely it feels. It does happen, and it can happen. Don't give up. Do it in your own time. You'll get there.